People started telling me I looked like Larry Bird in high school, actually. I mean, I love playing basketball, so that's just kind of something that was easy to transition into for this project. I definitely got to the point where I was like, I am him. Like, I would go to hair and makeup, they would put everything on me, and then I would get back to my trailer and it's like, oh, I am Larry Bird. What's up, everybody? Sean Patrick Small here. I play Larry Bird on HBO's Winning Time. I'm here with Days Off, and we're about to make some blueberry coffee cake. Confidence from Bird has definitely flowed over into different aspects of my life. I'm probably more confident on the basketball court than I should be, but in terms of baking, it definitely has flowed over. I feel like for cooking, you can kind of eyeball it, but for baking, if you eyeball things, it'll end disastrously. I initially went to UC Davis out of high school, and that's where I acted in my first short film, where I was like, all right, I need to transfer to a school in LA, and I need to do film in some capacity. So yeah, I was coming down to LA, just working as a PA on sets, working as an extra on sets, just writing a whole bunch of other scripts and acting in independent stuff, and you know, the grind, the hustle, just keep moving and doing whatever comes your way. So that's kind of how I got in the industry, and then, you know, here we are now, getting the big break. I think Bird was quoted as saying, luck favors the prepared, and I don't like to think that I was lucky in getting this role because of how prepared I was. But for the Larry Bird stuff, I had been working on a mini-series since like 2014 about him and Magic, which is crazy, like how that all lined up. From there, you know, pitching, researching, all that stuff for my own project, and then all of a sudden my sister-in-law texts me a screenshot from her friend saying like, hey, I just saw this casting notice on Actors Access for Larry Bird. So like in this week span, it was audition, Zoom callback, producer's room callback, and then the following week I was told I got the role. And then 2 weeks later I was on set.
We win it, 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 win it.
So it was just like this whirlwind of events of like, oh, within 4 weeks, I got the dream role and I'm on set already from like 7 years of work that I had been putting in already.
Win it, win it.
If I had a pop-up, I'd probably name it Small Things, you know? As a kid, I used to think that coffee cake had coffee in it, so I never tried it until I was like 20, 21, and then realized how good it was. And I finally found a recipe that I kind of tweaked a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about, was just the love that I found of coffee cake after I found out that coffee wasn't in it. Basketball is like one of my #1 joys. So anything that gets me out on the court, I'm always happy with. I might not be the quickest laterally. I might not stay in front of the quickest guy, which kind of works out because, you know, Bird wasn't known as like the greatest defender, but he was a really good team defender. I would say, yeah, I got some game that I can dish out, for sure.
No pun intended.
No pun intended, exactly, as we're making some blueberry coffee cake. It's surreal to be on such a big set for like the first project, right? It's like HBO, Adam McKay produced. Like when I'm getting on set for the basketball scenes, there's like 500 extras and we're on this basketball court with all these different, you know, crew members and cast members, and it's like, there's at least 1,000 people here right now. And it's crazy to see that scale going from that first short film where I'm like, oh yeah, it was like 5 different positions, but you can't do that on a union job, right? All right, we got everything mixed up. We're gonna first put the batter in, then put the blueberries on there, cover it with some brown sugar topping, and then the rest of the batter, rest of the topping, melted butter on top, and then we put it in the oven. The FDA doesn't approve this, but the ceremonial tasting of the dough before you put it in the oven is necessary, so. Yep, that's gonna be dope. So set the timer, 30 minutes, and then we take the foil off, put it back in for 10 more minutes, and then all good. Learning how to switch from the basketball I knew growing up, like the modern basketball, to like the 70s and 80s style of playing. I mean, the hardest thing was the Bird shot, just because it was so different. The modern day shot, you want to be squared up to the basket, shoulder width apart. You want your elbows to be nice, high and tight. so that nothing's coming out of this window. It's like you want to be in a telephone booth. For Bird, it was more his feet were a little angled off to the side. His elbow would be straight up with his right, but then his left arm would be out like this. We called it the chicken wing, where he would have this like window just to see the hoop. And then the follow through is always there, no matter what shot. And then in terms of like dribbling and stuff like that, any way that any modern NBA player dribbles now, back in the day, it would be called for a carry each time. You see the dribble where they're, hesitating and then crossing over. Back then, you had to work with dribbling in front of you, keeping it out in front of you. Crossovers were nice and simple. It's just interesting because you're like, oh yeah, you were brought up on basketball and this is how you play it, but like destroy all your thought processes on that and like this is how they played it back then. These were the rules back then. The three wasn't as prevalent, so don't shoot as many threes and all that type of stuff. So it was really fun, but frustrating in the beginning for sure. All right, I showed you the difference between my shot and Bird's and the dribbling styles, and we worked up a little appetite, so we're gonna go check on that coffee cake and call it a day. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out other Days Off episodes.
Been out here getting my cake up, out to get my bread up, out to get my weight up, out to get my W. Been out here getting my cake up.